Hey everyone, here's a quick video showing some of the parts we're going to be using in the next build. This is a build that we are making for CiberFC. It's a mini ITX system where we're going to use a Corsair Obsidian 250D case. There's the case. There is an AX760 power supply, a full modular, an MSI Z97i Mini ITX board, and a Corsair 140 or AF140 front fan. The first thing we're going to do is, as you can see, here's the MDCP sleeving, is we're going to remove the front panel here, and we're going to go ahead and sleeve the cables for the power, reset, LED, and as well as the front audio. Okay, here's the Obsidian case. We've removed the front, top, and side panels as well as the front panel. As I mentioned, the first step is to braid the cables from the front input-output. So the way we're going to achieve that, there's the cables, and in the inside here there's these little latches that you basically push in and then push out, and that's going to allow you to remove the face of this. Once you remove the face, there's a screw on the inside that's going to allow us to pull this out so we can sleeve them individually, and the same applies to the other side. I'm not going to go into full detail for the removal as I have another video for that. Okay, we've removed the front panel, and we're going to remove also the 140mm fan because we're going to be replacing it with the AF140 after we braid it. Here's that AF140 that we're going to be braiding the actual connector, the power connector. Okay, we removed the front panel already. That was pretty easy, just for everyone's reference, although it's self-explanatory. There were some screws right there. We are also going to be removing the side fan, as part of the build is going to have an H100i, and that's going to be set up with some silent 120mm fans. Okay, what we did is we removed the pins, the 3-pin connector, and that was achieved by using this pointy thing. We stuck it in the little holes right there individually, one by one, pressed down so that the latch would be compressed, and then pulled out each of the pins. We marked the first pin with some whiteout so that we wouldn't lose track of which one's the first pin. We're going to sleeve this with the MDPC sleeving, which is the smallest one that we got for the individual ATX pin wires. We're going to use this for the fan. Alright, here is the MDPC sleeving that we're going to use. We went ahead and we measured it starting from where the motor begins, right here, all the way up to the connector. We burned a little bit of the MDPC sleeving right there with the lighter at both ends so that we're able to slide it in and out of the cable and it doesn't begin to frail. Okay, we went ahead and cut it 1/8 sleeving as well as, let's see, 3/8 sleeving. One tip is going to be right next to the motor, and the other one is going to be right over the fan connector. Sorry for the zoom. And these are 1/2 inch wide. We're right about ready to start shrinking the heat shrink. As you can see, there's the heat shrink. I lined it up all the way to the line or the edge of the fan connector right there, and it runs all the way up almost to the motor. It's not going to be exact, but it can't be perfect. You see a little bit there, but we can either move the heat shrink down a little bit, or we're going to stretch the MDPC sleeving more so that it'll reach. Here's the finished sleeved connector and the cable. As you can see, we ran it all the way to the motor. I'm going to hit zoom. Barely visible are the wires, but still pretty good job. We were able to squeeze the flat cable there, and we ran the sleeving all the way up to the top line there. Next are the front panel headers. Alright, here is the front audio header. So again, we have a 1/2 inch heat shrink there. We measured already the MDPC sleeving from end to end, so we're going to go ahead and heat shrink that. And this cable, for everyone's reference, actually already comes in some type of heat shrink, but we wanted to put this MDPC sleeving on there. Alright, here's the finished sleeved front audio. Alright, we just finished the front LED reset power HD LED. Go, MDPC sleeving. Again, we used the individual sleeving for the ATX cable types. I think we did a pretty good job. It's getting dark now, so the light's kind of crappy, but I think it still gives you an idea. Alright, I'm using the flash, hopefully you guys can see. This is almost done for what we're doing in this first stage. We're going to mount or put the motherboard in a few minutes, just so that you guys can see where the motherboard's going to be and where the wires are going to go in reference to that. So here are the front panel braided. When we are ready to hide them, we're going to hide them actually in here. We're going to go all the way over here. We're going to zip tie them in the correct order, and then we're going to mount them. I guess you're going to see in the next video on the motherboard right there in the right order. Then as far as the front audio, there's an edge or a ridge here that we're going to hide it under, like that. And that's going to be covered by the motherboard and the H100i, so you're not going to be able to see that. The only thing you're going to be able to see is this guy coming down here like that to connect. So we're going to do that right now. Sorry for the camera work. I'm holding the camera by myself. And you can see here is the sleeved AF140 fan. Okay. This is the final mock-up for this before we add all the other stuff, just to give you an idea of where the cables are going to be there. And excuse the crazy woman in the background playing Battlefield. So you can see here with the USB 3.0 header, we opted, again just right now, we don't know if this is going to work out once we mount the radiator in there, but we opted to also hide that on the side here and the fin or the edge, and then that comes down here to the connector. The audio cable, the audio cable is here, and temporarily we zip tied it, and I don't know if you guys are anal, but I zip tie them all in the same direction. We temporarily zip tied it here, but once you mount the radiator and the motherboard, you actually don't even need a zip tie to hold it in place. It stays in place based on the two things being on there, and that loops back and comes down into the audio header of the motherboard. Here you have the power reset hard drive LEDs. You can see these go on the edge. Sorry, I'm gonna probably have the word focus so many times on this video, but I'm focusing for you guys. And here you can see we're hiding it as well on the edge. And the fan cable is not that long, so it's going down the middle, but I think it looks pretty cool, just a straight line down to the motherboard. So this is what it's going to look like, or what it looks like before we put the processor, the memory, and the cooling. But for the most part, the cable work I think looks clean for the start. Alright. Okay, we're getting ready to mount the power supply. In looking at the manual, it says that it's best to have the fan facing downward instead of upward. I read a couple articles where they were talking about how actually having the fan face upward was better so that the air could hit the motherboard, but I'm gonna go with what the manual suggests, and we're gonna place the power supply facing down. and we're not going to put anything else because the actual cables that we're going to use are going to be either mod DIY cables or some cables we're going to make ourselves, and that's so that they are perfect for the computer. The regular cables that come with the power supply are too long and the quality is not that great. Okay, I probably said in the last clip it was the last shot, but you know, sometimes you forget. So this should be the last shot. You can see that the power supply is in there now. You got your cables hidden. So far I think it's a pretty clean build. We've added the front, back, the sides on there. So we're gonna go ahead and cover it up and put the top back in the side. And that's it. Next video we should be showing you the memory and the processor in place, the H100i as well as the SP120s, and there's possible talk of also using Plasti Dip to paint the RAM sticks.